will stay the same. If you'd like to hear about your options,
we are United Faith Mortgage.
United Faith Mortgage is a DBA of United Mortgage Corp. 25 Melville Park Road, Melville, New York. Licensed mortgage banker. For all licensing information, go to NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Corporate NMLS number 1330. Equal housing lender. Licensed in Alaska, Hawaii, Georgia, North Dakota, South Dakota, or Utah.
Researchers report plastic pollution, a first-of-its-kind contamination in freshly fallen snow in Antarctica.
Microplastics are smaller than a grain of rice. They were found at 19 sites across the Ross Island region of Antarctica. The most common type identified in freshly fallen snow was used to make soft drink bottles and clothing. Researchers in New Zealand say it's possible that tiny particles travelled thousands of kilometres through the air, or that the presence of people in Antarctica has established a microplastic footprint. They warn the debris has the potential to influence the climate by accelerating the melting of snow and ice.
The BBC's Phil Mercer. Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman met with her counterparts from South Korea and Japan today, emphasizing the U.S. commitment to defend the allies amid threats from North Korea. Townhall.com. A guilty plea from an American woman who led an all-female ISIS battalion in Syria.
Allison Fluke Ekron broke down sobbing after admitting in federal court near Washington to conspiring to provide material support to a foreign terrorist organization. She could face a maximum 20-year sentence. Fluke Ekron once lived in Kansas. In Syria, she trained women and young girls to use automatic rifles, grenades, and suicide belts. Some were as young as 10 or 11, according to one witness cited in court documents. Fluke Ekron spoke openly about wanting to conduct an attack in the U.S., including by parking a car loaded with explosives in a shopping mall garage. Another witness said she discussed ideas for a bomb attack on a college campus in the Midwest. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Recapping the hour's lead story, an armed man arrested early this morning near the Maryland home of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Frank Sparks.
Hey, good morning. As today's forecast is called for sunny skies today. High's going to be up to 78 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County Radio weather forecast coming up for you right after we have this look at news. The average price for a gallon of gasoline has just topped $5 in Pennsylvania for the first time in history, according to AAA. As of this morning, the average price here in Pennsylvania is $5.03 a gallon. That's a nickel more than Tuesday and 53 cents more than 1 month ago. Prices are even up here in the Pittsburgh area, where the average is $4.99 a gallon. That's up 8 cents since yesterday. The Pennsylvania Senate is advancing legislation that would prohibit transgender women from participating in women's sports. The bill that passed yesterday was sent to the State House, which had previously passed an identical bill. One Democrat crossed party lines to vote in favor of the Senate bill. Democratic Governor Tom Wolf is threatening a veto if the proposal makes it out of the legislature. The proposal would require public K-12 schools and colleges to designate sports as a male, female, or co-ed. The election results from the May 17th primary in Beaver County have now been certified after the Elections Board met on Monday and certified the election. The automatic recount was triggered in the Republican U.S. Senate race between David McCormick and Dr. Mehmet Oz. After county reps recounted the votes, the final numbers in the county added up to be David McCormick receiving 6,422 votes compared to Dr. Oz's 5,669 votes. On the other side of the aisle, John Fetterman received 8,855 votes in the county compared to U.S. Congressman Connor Lamb's 7,970. Another person considered to be a frontrunner on the Democratic side was Representative Malcolm Kenyatta. He only received 285 votes here in Beaver County. McCormick conceded statewide to Dr. Oz last Friday night, setting up a battle between Oz and Democrat John Fetterman in one of the key U.S. Senate seat races that could decide party control of the U.S. Senate. Both Oz and Fetterman are running to replace retiring Republican U.S. Senator Pat Toomey. Pennsylvania's Republican-controlled state Senate is backing legislation criticized by opponents as a vehicle for profit water companies to take over municipal water authorities by imposing expensive regulations on them. Opponents also warned that the bill will precipitate ratepayer increases when water authorities must meet the new regulations or after they are forced to sell out to for-profit water companies. The bill passed yesterday 27-23 with the backing of Senate Republican leadership. Opposition crossed party lines. The sponsor, Senator Pat Stefano, Republican from Fayette County, said the bill will create uniform safety, security, and quality standards for all water and wastewater suppliers. The bill will now move on to the Pennsylvania House. A 3-day action and festival at Pennsylvania's capital this weekend aims to draw attention to the urgency of the climate crisis. Advocates, activists, and concerned residents say they want state leaders to make Pennsylvania a climate leader before it's too late. Emily Scott has more.
The first ever Pennsylvania Climate Convergence is June 11th through June 13th, with panel discussions, workshops, music, and a march to the Capitol building. Karen Faradun of Better Path Coalition, one of the event organizers, says the goal is to determine how the state can address its role in climate change and transition away from fossil fuels.
As the second biggest producer of natural gas, we can't continue to discuss climate in a consumption context only. This is an extraction state. What we have to understand is we're not going to be a contributor to the solution on climate unless we start dealing with production.
After the weekend events, activists plan to install a 6-foot climate countdown clock inside the Capitol building. They'll also hand-deliver a petition to Governor Tom Wolf's office, along with legislative leaders. I'm Emily Skye.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 78 degrees, and then overnight tonight, showers and thunderstorms with a low of 59. Partly sunny skies tomorrow with a high of 73 degrees, and then on Friday, a slight chance of afternoon showers and a high of 76. Saturday, chance of showers before 2 p.m. High is going to be 73 degrees, and then on Sunday, partly sunny with a high of 76 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
Now it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
If you haven't pieced it together yet by listening to this program, I'll go ahead and explain it to you. From time to time, I get confused. From time to time. But a saving grace is when the people that aren't confused give you kind of a heads up. And I know it's the week of Garden Jargon with Charlie Dirk presented by Diamond Milling when I get my email from Charlie saying, hey, what do you think about this? How you doing, man?
Hey, if I was any better, I'd have to be twins, brother. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I literally, because this show happens once a month, right?
Yes, sir.
Roughly. Okay. You know me. How capable am I of keeping anything together for more than 2 or 3 days at a time?
Well, that's a loaded question, and I refuse to answer on the ground it might incriminate myself.
There you go. But I get an email from you, and that's, oh, Charlie's coming in this week. Cool. And what are we talking about? First off, this is being live streamed, so if you've got gardening questions, and I got several. But if you've got gardening questions and you're listening, you can call your questions in. You can post your questions on the live Facebook feed. What are we talking about today? My question's about asparagus, but we'll get to that later.
Okay, yeah, because we kind of ran out of time with asparagus the last time.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to just start off with that?
No, I want to say you go to the trouble to actually prepare, and don't think I didn't notice if you're not watching this on Facebook, Charlie with his South Park hat and Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
That's a gardening outfit. What you had talked about was plant and seed spacing in a compact garden. Yes. We're going to talk about weed control and talk about growing tomatoes. So I do want to start with
Potatoes.
Potatoes. Talking about the compact garden. What is a compact garden? I've got pots on my windowsill.
That's the ultimate compact garden.
Okay.
You're like Oliver Douglas in Manhattan, with the garden on the patio.
Yes, he was bound and determined. Yeah. Come on, Lisa. Well, this is easy. We can do this.
Yeah, he had corn borers and called the doctor. And but the thing is, for the new gardener, and that's what I try to aim all this at.
Right.
And I said in the very first show, start small, start modest, so that you don't get frustrated. Now, if you look at the seed packages and the seed catalogs and those kind of things, they will say something like, say, for your tomato plants, they'll say, space them 24 inches apart in rows 36 inches apart. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that, except if you got a little tiny garden, you put in 2 or 3 tomato plants, the garden's full.
Right.
Okay.
I couldn't do that. If I didn't get tomatoes already sprouted and grown, I couldn't grow them because I don't have that much space.
Right. And that brings up something real quick, too, and I meant to bring this up last month. I would refrain from going to a garden center or whatever and paying a king's ransom for a tomato plant because it's already got tomatoes on it. People say, oh, look, it's a... Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you because I went shopping. I don't mean to interrupt, but I saw those plants and they've already got the cages. And look, they're sprouting. Why don't you just get those? Well, at that point, you can just go get tomatoes at the grocery store.
Right. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the analogy I'll use with that. If you would have moved when Allie was in kindergarten and moved her to a new school district,
right,
she could have adapted pretty quickly and pretty easily. If you would have moved Allie to a new school district when she was a junior in high school,
which we did,
okay,
it was different.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
That tomato plant is the same thing. If you plant a little tomato plant, or if you start it from seed, okay, and then you transplant it into your garden, or say you buy plants, okay, and you buy small ones, you transplant them into your garden.
I've never bought plants in my life, Charlie.
Okay.
Right.
Well, what do you put in your containers?
I'm kidding.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. Here's the thing.
Force a habit.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That tomato is going to go into culture shock, which it will recover from very easily if it's small. Mm-hmm. If it's maturing to the point where it has produced fruit, and by the way, tomato is a fruit, yep, okay, then you are shocking it so much more, and it's probably not going to die if you water it and take care of it, but a lot of times those tomatoes drop off. I've talked to people so many times, and they fell off. I said, well, they were way past the point where you should have transplanted them. But the garden centers, they sell those plants for a ridiculous price.
Oh, yeah. You're thinking, well, I'll pay extra because it's mostly grown, and you're actually putting yourself in a position where there may be a problem. Well, what's causing the culture shock? Is it the chemicals or the chemical levels?
You're taking it from one environment to the other, just like moving the child from one school district. It's the same thing. Plants are some plants are more sensitive to it than others, but I meant to bring that up last time, and I hope if people haven't bought their plants yet,
we're getting close, but there's still some out there.
Right. Yeah. Okay, and here's the thing, and this is what I say: the literature says some of these spacings for these plants. What I'm going to give today is what works for me, because there was a program years ago on PBS, and it was called Square Foot Gardening.
I think I remember that. It was interesting.
Yeah, I think it was a British guy. But this is his philosophy. If you only got so much ground, so much resources, so much time, get as much bounty out of it as you can. And a lot of old timers are going to shake their head when I run these numbers by you. But this is what works for me. I could take you to my garden and show you right now.
Okay.
I plant tomato plants 18 inches apart. And I set the rows at the most 24 inches apart. All right. Now, what you can do, that'll give you more plants in a smaller area, mm-hmm, and I'll arbor them. Drive a stake in either end of the row, and those hooks that you buy like at the big box store to hang your bicycle on?
Yeah.
Okay, you screw one of those hooks in each one of the wooden posts, and you lay a rail across there, and you tie the tomatoes, both rows, into the center.
Is that the fancy word, arbor?
Well, arbor's more related to grapes, but that's what you're doing. You're building an arbor. Okay, so your plants are close together, but you're pulling them to the center. You can individually stake them with that same spacing. Okay, now pepper plants and cabbage plants.
I got both.
12 inches. And I'll tell you why. Think about this, Eddie. When you go to the grocery store and you buy a head of cabbage, how many times have you bought a head of cabbage that's bigger than 12 inches in diameter?
Not very often.
Right. So
usually about the size, the old softball that you played, the no glove, no mitt softball, usually no bigger than that.
Right. Okay. So if you have 12 inches between the plants, that's plenty of room for the heads to develop. Now the leaves are going to branch out, but the leaves provide shade for the base of the plant to keep it from drying out, and it deters the weed growth because the plants are so close together, the weeds don't have that much of a chance.
Not getting sun to get out from under.
Right. Okay. So peppers, 12 inches. Now, when I plant seeds like corn, okay, 6 inches apart, and I put the rows about 20 inches apart, so you can walk between it and pick the corn.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the seed.
Now that was in the Midwest. That was the deal. As long as you could walk through them and pick them, that was wide enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And be careful because the edges of those corn leaves can slice your neck and draw blood, buddy. I'm telling you.
If you want a kid to never ever complain about a job ever,
go hoe the corn.
Bag the corn. When they go out with the bags to put on the male and the female, when you go up, get a kid a job doing that. He will or she will never complain again because what you say is the truth. You walk through a cornfield with short sleeves and shorts, it will slice you to pieces.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now, when I plant things like carrots and lettuce and beets, I put the rows 12 inches apart.
Why do you plant beets? Who wants beets?
My grandson loves beets.
Oh, does he? Okay. All right. All right. You got to plant the beets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I like them too.
Yeah.
And but I know a lot of people don't like them. But the 12 inches is plenty. Okay. And I'm going to get into weed control later, mulching with paper and stuff, and why you shouldn't mulch your lettuce with the shredded paper. But when you're laying out your garden, you're thinking, okay, how am I going to maintain these spaces and that? Here's what I do. Cut yourself a series of sticks. Cut a stick 12 inches long, cut a stick 18 inches long, cut a stick 24 inches long, and just drop that down and set the plant on either end of the stick. And that way you get the consistent measurement. And if you drive, and I'm sure your parents and your grandparents did this, you drive a stick in either end of the row and run a string down the stick to keep the row straight.
Fishing line.
Fishing line. Yeah, monofilament fishing line. Yep. Yeah. Then you don't see it, you trip over it.
Well, no, two things. One, it does the job. Two, the birds don't see it.
Right.
So it don't take long before they try and get in your stuff, and they realize, every time I go down there, something smacks me, and they don't get in. It's the same reason patio bars in Florida string fishing line above them.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you have your rows like 12 inches apart for your lettuce and beets and stuff, and you leave that monofilament fish, that also keeps the cats from going in and using your garden as a litter box.
And there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes back to critter control. But when you're laying out your garden, you're thinking, okay, Crazy Charlie says to put the tomatoes 18 inches apart, the peppers 12 inches apart. Another thing with peppers like each other. If you keep them 12 inches apart, they pollinate a lot better. And speaking of pollination, when you're thinking about your garden, you do yourself a favor.
Okay.
Plant some sunflowers. Don't put them too close because they'll shade your plants. But we have a critical shortage in this country of bees due to parasites, pesticides, all this and that. Bees are, matter of fact, you guys did a news story here a while back where a guy stole like 10,000 bees or something.
Right.
Yeah, because that's how valuable they are.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing brings in honeybees like sunflowers. You'll go out, and here's the thing. People get confused about bees. Yellow jackets, bad.
Yes.
Wasps, bad. Okay, but
dirt daubers.
Oh, you mean the ones that burrow down in the, yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, okay. Well, here's the thing, and I've done this, I've showed my grandkids, and they freak out. Honeybees are the most docile insect in the world.
Mm-hmm.
If they're working that sunflower to get pollen, you can actually go up and pet them. You can stroke them on the, and they're busy. They don't want to come over and sting you.
Yeah.
A yellow jacket will sting you if you walk by them.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you give nature its way, the honeybees will come to those sunflowers, and then they'll pollinate your vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the bonus, if you like to meditate a little bit, they also bring in golden finches. Golden finches, that's the yellow birds with the black wing. Okay,
right.
Some people call them wild canaries.
Yeah.
I love to just watch them. I get more pleasure out of that than anything on television. You get the bees for pollination, you get the birds for entertainment, but don't, sunflowers can get very, very tall. Don't plant them too close to your garden because, like I said, they will shade the smaller plants.
Is there anything I can do? My entire garden is on my balcony, on the ledge of my porch. It's all in potted plants.
Okay.
Is there anything I can do? I'm not going to be able to grow a sunflower. Okay, if it gets 5 feet high, it's going to be hitting the roof of my deck or my patio. What can I do to draw bees without a sunflower?
Why couldn't you put a container down on the ground and plant? You don't have to have it right next. If they're in the neighborhood, the bees will come. Okay. So get and here's the other thing too. Container gardening, I love it. And if you put a couple of sunflower seeds, 2 or 3, in a container and put it down at the ground level, like I said, the bees will come in, they'll find it, and you'll have something else to look at.
Is the container deep enough, even if I put it like it can be on the ground so the sunflower's got room to grow up, but is it deep enough for the roots? I was taught usually the taller the plant, the deeper the root system.
Yeah, with a tree, if you look how far the branches spread out, that's how far the root ball is under the ground. Okay, and a sunflower is similar to that, but a 5-gallon bucket. People go out and spend big money for planters and pots, 5-gallon buckets. And who doesn't have a 5? You don't know if you did some drywall and you got the compound bucket sitting around or something. Right. That's great for sunflowers. That's great.
All right, so that's all I need is to steal a 5-gallon bucket.
I didn't say steal it.
Well, no, I added that part. Are there any things that just aren't going to work in a compact garden because there's not going to be enough space, no matter how much you plan? Because Charlie, these planters that I get, the planters that are built to sit on rails, they're 18 inches long. I've got a cabbage at each end of it.
Okay, well, here's one thing that's tough for containers. Anything that vines naturally.
Okay.
We had a question first show about planting pumpkins. Well, that's not going to work too well in a container.
Right.
Okay, but there are varieties. Now, cucumbers is a vining thing. You got to leave more room for cucumbers.
That has no effect on my day, so I'm not worried about cucumbers.
Okay.
Good stuff.
All right. But there are hybrid cucumbers. There are bush cucumbers. They grow like a pepper plant or a tomato plant.
Really?
Yeah. It's like it might get 12 inches in diameter, and you'll get a good crop of cucumbers off of them. You can put it in a compact garden. You can put it in a container. Okay. And for like tomatoes are excellent to grow in a container, but if you're even really worried about space, they have what they call a patio tomato. It is groomed just to grow in that container on your deck. They're neat.
That sounds weird. That sounds like chemicals are making things, and I've seen enough sci-fi movies. When you start grooming living things, it gets sketchy out.
What you're talking about is something that I don't understand, that GMO thing, that
genetically modified.
All right, that's another thing when you're buying your seed packages.
Right.
You look like, if you go over to my buddies at Diamond Milling and you go to their seed rack, every one of their packages are stamped non-GMO. That means they may be a hybrid, but they haven't grown those seeds in a test tube with enzymes and done those kind of things.
So I'm not going to get a tomato plant that turns into the Little Shop of Horrors and starts eating people.
Not unless you go out in shipping port.
Charlie Dirt is my guest. It's Garden Jargon. It's brought to you by Diamond Milling. Your lawn will be the envy of all your neighbors when you buy your lawn supplies from Diamond Milling in New Brighton. Stop by today, pick up a bag of the famous Penn State grass seed or shade mix, and Diamond Milling is the place to get cow manure, straw, and lime. Diamond Milling has all varieties of garden seeds, including onion sets. Locally owned and operated, Diamond Milling, your animal care, lawn, garden, and feed headquarters at The Bridge in New Brighton. Call 724-846-0920 or like them on Facebook.
It's amazing just how much most people don't know about Aliquippa Giant Eagle. Obviously, everybody knows it's a great grocery store and all that, but get this. Did you know Aliquippa Giant Eagle is the #1 place in Beaver County for grilling season? Nobody takes grilling more seriously than Aliquippa Giant Eagle. A full assortment of steaks and chops, along with the best seafood in the Beaver Valley, is available right now. And here's something else you probably didn't know. You can also get that beer and wine to enjoy on the patio while you're grilling at Aliquippa Giant Eagle too. There's no need to stop anywhere else. Who knew? As if all that wasn't amazing enough, did you know that you can order what you want ahead of time for convenient curbside express pickup? Search Aliquippa Giant Eagle, then click the Shop Curbside tab. Remember, if you've got a grill, you need Aliquippa Giant Eagle, located in the Green Garden Plaza. Spring is in the air. So put some spring in your step and head out to Al's Corner in Koppel. Whether you're looking for a quick lunch or dinner or even your favorite snack, Al's Corner is the place to go. Al's also has lunch and dinner specials Monday through Friday, like tacos on Tuesdays and their world-famous beef tips over noodles on Thursdays. Al's Corner is open 7 days a week from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. The outside grill will be opening in May, and follow Al's on Facebook for news about opening day of the grill plus all their other specials. Al's Corner is located at the corner of Route 18 and 351 in Koppel.
The best of Beaver County is easy to discover. It's right here on your radio. Tune in Beaver County Radio or watch the Best of Beaver County live on Facebook or YouTube video this and every Thursday from 11 to 11:30. The program is made possible by St. Barnabas. For over 3 years now, the show has been dedicated to shining light on the great things going on right here in your neighborhood and the people that are making it happen. This Thursday, enjoy conversation and insight from an intriguing lineup of guests who are creating excitement and having an impact right here in Beaver County. Your friends and neighbors at St. Barnabas are pleased to support the Best of Beaver County. The radio broadcast will also be replayed each week from 11:30 to noon on Sundays on Beaver County Radio. Archived Best of Beaver County videos can be viewed on the WBVP WMBA Facebook page. It's your chance to encounter the best of Beaver County with host Mike Romai this Thursday starting at 11. For more information, visit beavercountyradio.com.
Rodgers and Hammerstein's masterpiece, Carousel, the musical, opens Friday, June 17th at Lincoln Park Performing Arts Center and runs through June 26th. Hailed as the best musical of the 20th century by Time magazine and featuring hit songs such as You'll Never Walk Alone, If I Loved You, and June is bustin' out all over. This magical and majestic classic is a can't-miss piece of musical theater. Tickets on sale now by calling the Lincoln Park box office at 724-576-4644 or by visiting lincolnparkarts.org.
It started with a road trip into the American Midwest. Huntington bankers with one mission, to understand how people made sense of money. And that's how we met Dontel.
How do we control cash flow? Calendar, dates marked for invoices, when payroll hits.
It's messy, but it gives us a sense of what's coming.
And that's how we came up with a tool that helps businesses forecast cash flow digitally. Our customers give us the best ideas. Huntington, welcome. Member FDIC. Learn more at huntington.com.
In Beaver County, there are many great stories to tell. One such worthy story is that of the Drug-Free Community Support Program. Now in its 4th year of serving Aliquippa, the project has enjoyed great success through in-school interaction, education, raising awareness, and data analysis. The Drug-Free Community Support Program in Aliquippa has a mission to help local youth make better decisions regarding alcohol and drug use. For more information or to find out how you can get involved, visit Drug-Free Aliquippa on Facebook.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Frank Sparks.
And good morning. As today's forecast is called for mostly sunny skies today. High is going to be 78 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County Radio weather forecast coming up for you right after we have this look at news. Pennsylvania State Police in Gibsonia are investigating after being dispatched to the scene of a hit-and-run accident on the Pennsylvania Turnpike in Big Beaver Borough at 2:05 p.m. on Monday afternoon. Upon arriving on the scene and investigating, it was learned that 74-year-old Richard Gregory of Hermitage was driving westbound on the Turnpike near mile marker 12 in a 2014 Toyota Camry when a vehicle that was traveling behind him at a faster rate of speed for unknown reasons struck his vehicle from behind. After the collision, Gregory pulled to the shoulder of the road, and the unknown vehicle continued to travel westbound on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. There is no description of the vehicle, and state troopers are asking anyone who may have witnessed this or has any information about this accident to call them at the Gibsonia Barracks. United States Attorney Cindy K. Chung announced yesterday that 35-year-old Brandon Washington, a former resident of Pittsburgh's North Side neighborhood, pleaded guilty in federal court to possession with intent to distribute cocaine and possession of a firearm in furtherance of drug trafficking offenses before United States District Judge Robert Coville. In connection with the guilty plea, the court was advised that in March of 2021, the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police narcotics agents, working with the Drug Enforcement Administration, utilized an undercover agent to purchase cocaine from Washington at a hotel in Pittsburgh's North Side neighborhood. Agents executed a search warrants on multiple hotel rooms thereafter, which led to the seizure of additional quantities of cocaine base in the form commonly known as crack cocaine. drug paraphernalia commonly used to process cocaine into cocaine base, and a loaded .45 caliber pistol. By pleading guilty, Washington admitted to those charges, and Judge Coville scheduled sentencing for October the 4th of 2022 at 9 a.m. Now, the law provides for a total sentence of not less than 5 years, but up to 40 years in prison and a fine of up to $1 million or both. Republican state lawmakers may soon decide which among the scores of potential amendments to the Pennsylvania Constitution will have any shot of making it to voter referendum. It's a tactic to get politically divisive policies around Democratic Governor Tom Wolf's much-used veto pen. The comparatively large number of proposals pending in the General Assembly address topics that range from voting rights to abortion and real estate taxes. House and Senate Republicans have introduced a slew of potential amendments. They've been emboldened by their success last year in persuading voters to narrowly approve limits on the governor's powers during emergencies. Jim Seals, who teamed with fellow musician Dash Cross on such 1970s soft rock hits as Summer Breeze, Diamond Grill, and We May Never Pass This Way Again, has died at the age of 80. His death was announced yesterday by several people, including John Ford Coley, who had formed the 70s duo England Dan and John Ford Coley with Seals' older brother Dan. Seals and Daryl George Dash Cross were Texas natives who had known each other since they were teenagers and had previously been in the Champs. They formed Seals and Crofts in the late 1960s. It's the inflation you're not supposed to see. From toilet paper to yogurt to corn chips, manufacturers are quietly shrinking package sizes without lowering their prices. It's dubbed shrinkflation, and it's accelerating worldwide. In the U.S., a small box of Kleenexes now has 60 tissues. A few months ago, it had 65. In the U.K., Nestle slimmed down coffee tins from 100 grams to 90 grams. Shrinkflation isn't new, experts say, but it proliferates in times of high inflation as companies grapple with rising costs for ingredients, packaging, labor, and transportation.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 78 degrees, and then overnight tonight, showers and thunderstorms with a low of 59. Partly sunny skies tomorrow with a high of 73 degrees, and then on Friday, a slight chance of afternoon showers and a high of 76. Saturday, chance of showers before 2 p.m. High is going to be 73 degrees, and then on Sunday, partly sunny with a high of 76 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
Your community, your radio stations, originating from the St. Barnabas Control Studio in Beaver County. 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge.
Once a month, we talk about growing stuff. Aside from the stories that come up on the occasional police blotter, Charlie Dirt comes in and Charlie does, Garden Jargon. And it's presented by Diamond Milling. I'm going to ask you a quick question, then I want to get to the next thing on your list.
Okay.
You remember those asparagus seeds, or not asparagus,
asparagus crowns, asparagus roots.
Okra.
Oh, okra seeds.
The okra seeds you gave me. All right, I ran out of pots for my patio garden. I have those long, slender ones. I got a cabbage at each end, and I put the okra seeds in the middle.
Okay.
Do I need to get them out of there because the cabbage seeds is starting to get in the way, and I feel like I'm having to pull the cabbage leaves back, like pulling back my hair to make sure that because the okra is all sprouted.
Sure. Okay,
so
that's good.
Do I need to transplant that, or are they going to make their way out from under the cabbage seeds? Is there going to be a vegetable war on my porch?
Hopefully. Okra is a taller plant than cabbage. Hopefully, if you can control the situation till the okra gets about 10 or 12 inches tall.
Oh, okay, but we're not near that.
Yeah, I wouldn't start rooting that okra out of there yet. You know, did you plant all those seeds in that one container?
I've got 3 containers the same way, where it's cabbage at each end, and then in the middle, the okra, and it's coming up.
Okay, yeah, maybe you might have to kind of pull the cabbage leaves back a little bit that are pointing toward the center. But once the okra will get taller than the cabbage, not a whole lot, but it should get some sun. I've never done that combination, but let me know how it works.
I didn't want to do that combination. I ran out of place to put them. I'm like, well, there's space there. That's why you're here. You're the expert.
No. My Uncle George used to say an expert is an ordinary guy 7 miles from home. For me to be an expert, I got to move.
Oh, I got you. All right. Well, I'm going to throw this at you as a non-expert then.
Okay.
Kim sent a message. This is being live Facebooked. If you want to watch it, you can listen to it as always, but it's on our Facebook page too. Kim sent a message watching. He, first off, loves the show. Second, Big Boy beefsteak tomatoes from the 60s. Where can you purchase them in 2022? He's also quite impressed with homemade beets.
With homemade beets?
He was impressed with homemade beets.
He's my kind of guy.
All right.
Okay. My understanding and my knowledge of tomatoes is the Big Boy and the beefsteak was two different tomatoes.
I've heard of both of those. When I think of Big Boy, I think of like Shoney's or Frisch's Big Boy with the kid standing out with the checkerboard outfit.
Yeah.
But beefsteak tomatoes.
A beefsteak tomato was a big tomato. It was a kind of ribbed tomato. Okay.
Dense and stout.
Yes. And they had a lot of people, they had wonderful flavor. A lot of people didn't like them because they had a huge core in them. By the time you cut the core out of the tomato, you was taking a third of the tomato. But it was excellent flavor in the tomato. The Big Boy is a hybrid tomato, and I believe, remember we talked about VF and VFN, the different disease resistance and stuff?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the Big Boy was at least a VF. They were two different tomatoes. I don't have any knowledge where to buy them locally. If I did, I would tell you. And you're getting thin pickings at the markets now to get the plants because the plants are getting Memorial Day. Everybody goes and buys up the plants. You know?
I did see a lot after Memorial Day. I saw a lot of people posted. A friend of mine posted a picture. 65 plants put in that weekend.
Yeah, and that's when. Remember, I said Memorial Day is when you're safe for the frost.
Right.
I would say hit or miss, and I'm not a big internet guy. But you might be able to do an internet search, like if a place that sells plants, and look at their web page, and they may list what they have, or you may be able to call them. But I could be wrong. But as I remember, because I've grown both, one is the beefsteak and a Big Boy there's two different tomatoes. They're both excellent tomatoes. The beefsteak, I don't think it has any disease resistance at all. It's one of the old original like heirloom tomatoes.
What do you mean? It's if it gets something, it's not as hardy because it hasn't been GMO'd.
Here we go again. Yeah. No, they hybrid them for disease resistance and strength of stock, stuff like that. But the beefsteak, as I remember, is an heirloom. It's not going to die or anything. It's more prone to the diseases. The later hybrids, they've hybrid them to be disease resistant. I would just stay hunt and peck. Hopefully you can find them. And I'm glad the gentleman likes beets.
Charlie Dirt is my guest. Garden Jargon is the name of the show. Before you sent me some notes about today's show, and when I saw it, the first thing I circled one of them because I was going to call you out because, I know nothing about this. That's a good idea. You say that it's easier to grow potatoes than most people think. Here's my thinking on it. The potatoes are under the ground.
Mm-hmm.
How is that easier to get them? When I grow my tomatoes and I grow my peppers, that's above the ground. I can just pull them off. The potatoes aren't. Why are they easier? There's got to be more digging involved.
Well, okay. If you've prepared your soil, as we indicated in the previous,
it always comes back to soil preparation with you.
Just like a paint job on your car, Eddie. So okay, but yeah,
that's the primer.
It's the primer. Sanding and then primer.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, if you prep the soil so it's nice and loose and well drained, is what potatoes like. All right. I didn't used to grow potatoes, and I had a big container that somebody had given me, about the size of a 5-gallon bucket, and I had some potatoes that I bought at the store that were starting to sprout. Which, by the way, they pretty much don't do anymore because they're treated like I told you about the garlic in a previous show, though, so that it won't sprout. And I planted.
I'm sorry, but I disagree. I had a bag of potatoes that I forgot about for about 6 months, and when I remembered them, they had sprouted.
Oh, okay.
That is the exception to the rule.
Well, you tend to run into those things.
Just say it. I was gross.
Yeah. No. But the thing is, what I mean by they're easier to grow, a lot of beginning gardeners say potatoes are just not something they think about, and they do take up some room. You can grow a lot of potatoes in a small space. You can grow potatoes in a container, okay? And if you
really,
that's how I started. I had some potatoes that had sprouted. I planted them in a container. You wouldn't believe how many potatoes I got. This was years ago. I plant a whole lot of potatoes now. There's different kinds of potatoes. There's the red Pontiac, which I happen to like. There's a white potato that I can't even remember the name. There are yellow tomatoes or potatoes. I mean, they're golden. They're Yukon Golds.
Yeah.
Okay. There are all kinds of interesting potatoes that you might not necessarily be able to find in the store. Okay. But for the most part now, you have to go to like Diamond Milling and get seed potatoes. Seed potatoes are not treated with anything. They are harvested.
Just like their stuff is not GMO'd and not chemically enhanced when you buy the seeds.
Right. And seed potatoes haven't been treated with the sprout inhibitors that you run into with. They don't want them to sprout in the grocery store because they lose money because they got to throw them away.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now, you got a little spot left in your garden. You don't know what to do with it. Yeah, I do. Okay. So get a pound or two of seed potatoes, and this is what you do. All right. You roll a potato around, and you look, and the potato has what they call eyes. Remember when your grandma would peel a potato? She'd take the point of the knife and dig the little eye out of the tomato.
Dig the eye, then flip it and start, and potato peeling's going everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Look around, and the average potato might have 6 or 8 eyes on it. They're like little bumps. You can see them in the skin.
Right.
That's where the sprouts come from.
Potato pimple.
Potato pimple. Yes. Garden jargon. Okay. So cut the potato up. And make sure there's at least one eye in each segment. So you're basically going to be
You're dismembering a potato by body part.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're
call it what it is.
Okay. Four pieces, 6 pieces. Okay, it depends. Some potatoes have a lot more eyes than others. All right, make sure you have at least one eye in each piece of the potato. All right, and lay them out for about a day or maybe a little bit longer. And you're going to jump on me about this. It's called scabbing over. Okay.
No, I'm okay with that. I'm visualizing it. Basically, it's the potato trying to treat itself, isn't it?
Yeah. Where you've cut it, where the flesh of the potato is, it kind of dries over. Okay?
Right.
Okay. So you let it get to that point. Now you prep your soil and cut a furrow in the ground and when you prepare the ground for potatoes, I like to till in some 5-10-10 or 10-10-10 fertilizer. Okay, there are specialized fertilizers for like commercial potato growing. You don't need to go get that. Your regular 5-10-10, 10-10-10, I found works well. Till it in, cut a furrow in the ground. Use your stick and your string so it's nice and straight. Put each piece of that potato about 12 inches apart. We're not building space shuttles here. 10, 12 inches apart. Okay, cover them over with a few inches of soil. Okay, now this is where, like the next segment I hope we get to is easy weed control.
Yeah.
Soak the ground down and mulch them right now. And what I mulch with is either grass clippings or shredded paper. Because if you...
Okay, you're not talking about going and getting a bag of that nasty brown or black
mulch.
No,
that's landscaping mulch.
Okay.
And that a lot of times has chemicals in it to deter bugs and weeds. And
right.
You're
talking about natural clippings of some sort.
Clippings or shredded paper. You didn't used to be able to use shredded paper because the ink had lead in it.
Okay.
The EPA, quite a few years ago, made them go to a soy-based ink. So you can shred paper. I even know some community gardens that use shredded paper for mulch. Or if this is the end thing, Eddie. If you got a buddy that's got a landscaping business, if his side gig, a lot of times they're all too happy to give you those grass clippings because they don't want to haul them around.
Right. They don't want to haul them and that's costing them time and money to deal with. You want them, come get them.
Right. And here's another thing about if you take a big pile of grass clippings and pile them up, they'll get so hot in the middle from like spawn, you can't even touch it.
Yes.
So
they will get that smell, that composting smell kicking up too.
Right, and they don't want that hauling that around in the back of their truck.
Nope.
Okay, so if you can hook up with somebody like that, that's great. You're doing them a favor. You're getting some mulch, and mulch them, and then it's kind of like a Ron Popeil thing. It's set it and forget it. You wait, and the sprouts come up through your mulch, and you don't have to worry about weeding because you've got the mulch down there. Now the potato makes a nice stout plant. And it blooms. It gets little flowers on there. That's part of the growing process. And you just leave it go till it matures. And when the top of the plant dies, now you're talking about work.
Right.
There's a tool called a potato fork. It's like a pitchfork, but it's got 4 or 5 real wide tines. Okay. And you just go down alongside where that plant is and flip it over, and there's your potatoes. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. All right, easy weed control next. We need to take a break to make sure everything gets taken care of. It's Garden Jargon with Charlie Dirt. Just easy peasy through me.
Your lawn will be the envy of all your neighbors when you buy your lawn supplies from Diamond Milling in New Brighton. Stop by today, pick up a bag of the famous Penn State grass seed or shade mix, and Diamond Milling is the place to get cow manure, straw, and lime. Diamond Milling has all varieties of garden seeds, including onion sets. Locally owned and operated, Diamond Milling, your animal care, lawn, garden, and feed headquarters at the Bridge in New Brighton. Call 724-846-0920 or like them on Facebook.
Are you ready for a life-changing career? Presley Ridge is seeking mental health professionals to support kids and families in Beaver County. Hiring and retention bonuses are available for new employees. Presley Ridge also offers high-quality clinical supervision and training, flexible schedules, and competitive benefits. Visit presleyridge.org/careers to find current opportunities and apply now. Presley Ridge is an equal opportunity employer.
It's always the right time to shop the Hopewell Shopping Center, no matter what the season, no matter what the reason. It truly is your neighborhood shopping place. With such a large variety of businesses that offer food, shopping, fine dining, and quick-serve restaurants, personal services, and recreation, the Hopewell Shopping Center will be your one-stop for everything you need whenever you need it. Just click on BeaverCountyRadio.com, the Hopewell Shopping Center directory, for a complete look of merchants today and get shopping at your neighborhood shopping place, the Hopewell Shopping Center.
Hey, it's Jimmy Fallon from Fox News, inviting you to tune into Beaver County Radio weekdays from noon to 3 p.m. for Fox Across America with me, Jimmy Fallon. It is the fastest growing radio show in the country, mainly because of my weight. But the point is, you tune into our show, you could be a Republican, you could be a Democrat, just don't be a jerk. Listen live on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com.
Jimmy was on with me earlier. The show, his first show on Beaver County Radio, will be noon Monday. In terms of the show Garden Jargon, brought to you by Diamond Milling and your host, Charlie Dirt. How many of you done 2 or 3 of these now, hadn't we?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's almost beginning to feel natural.
Yeah, well, no, never let it get that complacency kicks in. On the subject of complacency, since all of my plants are in containers, and when they sprout, that's going to cover the dirt pretty well, or has, with the cabbage especially. That means no weeds can grow, right?
See, it's a double benefit. By planting your plants closer together, like I said, there's less room for the weeds.
Right.
And, like the weeds crowded out my vegetables. Well, let's flip it. Let's have the vegetables crowd out the weeds.
How much is too much? I knew not to stick. I'm talking about cabbage because that's what I have. I knew that there needed to be some space between the cabbage, but how much is not enough?
Well, I wouldn't put a cabbage any closer to 12 inches apart.
Okay, that's about what they are.
Yeah, and you got your okra in the middle. Let me know how that turns out, because I may do a container like that just for fun next year.
I'll send you pictures of it. I looked up and I'm like, oh, I've planted everything. Look at me, I'm so great. Oh, crud, okra seeds. Where am I going to? That's the only space, because I know my tomatoes and I know my peppers, they're going to spread out.
Yeah.
And I've seen that with the root balls. That's going to be a bigger deal. But weed control.
Weed control, the number one thing that I like is the spacing of the plants, the mulching with like we said, not the landscaping mulch, but shredded paper, grass clippings.
Why does mulch keep the weeds from sprouting but doesn't keep the seeds from sprouting?
Well, no, you can't mulch over top of seeds.
You got to wait for
wait for a seed to come up. Now you can mulch the potato, because the potato is a very strong plant. It will push up through your mulch. Okay. And asparagus is the same way. I mulch my asparagus beds like crazy with shredded paper. Asparagus it'll push through this countertop that's in front of us. It'll come up through that stuff.
That's why when you see a row of asparagus, the row is about 1.5 feet higher, because somebody's been mulching it, and the asparagus, the higher you piled the mulch, does that mean that's how much taller the asparagus sprouts are going to get?
Well, you don't want to put too much on there, but if you mulch it the correct thickness, wherever you put it, the plant can come through, and the weeds need sunlight to germinate and moisture to germinate.
Mm-hmm.
Once you mulch it, there's moisture there. But morning glories will come up through whatever kind of mulch you put in. I don't care. You could pour cement out there, and the morning glories will come up through the cracks. Okay, some things are going to come up through your mulch, but for your average, garden variety weed,
right?
Okay, a light mulch will take care of it. And if you use your mulch, you may have to remulch again later in the season because the mulch is organic and it deteriorates like you want it to do.
Right.
Okay.
It's getting absorbed to help grow the plant.
Grass clippings especially. If you mulch a tomato plant or a pepper plant with grass clippings, it'll get greener overnight. The nitrogen. The old timers used to call it green manure, and the nitrogen comes out of that. Now, one thing that, and maybe somebody else has had better luck with these things than I have seen, they make a tool, and it looks like, what a lawn aerator looks like?
The spikes.
Yeah. Well, they make a hand tool. It's got like 6 wheels on it. And it's got these spikes on it. You're supposed to run it around your plants. All right?
Yeah.
All I've ever found that will do is it just rearranges the weeds around a plant. It doesn't really get rid of them. Now, if you went out every morning and ran that thing, rolled it back and forth around your plants, maybe it would work. I've got 2 of them because people gave them to me, and they said, these things don't work. You got any use for them? I said, I'll throw it in the shed.
If you did it every day, anything that grows up is going to get shredded by it.
Well, yeah. And the thing is, too, I have a couple of hoes that they're not regular garden hose. They're like a fork on one side and a little narrow hoe blade on the other.
Yes.
They're really nice for working around the roots of peppers and tomatoes. And that loosens the ground up and lets the moisture get down in and gets rid of the weeds if you don't mulch. But weed control, the main thing is diligence. Like we had that rain the other day. I was out looking at my garden this morning. Yeah, the stuff that isn't mulched yet. The weeds are up like crazy. And in a way, that's a sign that your soil is fertile. So it's a good omen in a way, but certain things you just got to get rid of them.
Do you think that puts some people off? I don't want to. I want to plant the garden, but I don't want to have to deal with it every single day.
Well, like I said, I was kidding about the potatoes being a Ron Popeil thing. Your garden's not a set it and forget it. At least take a stroll out and take a look at it once a day. See if it needs a little water. See if it needs some weeding, needs some attention. And there's something else too. There's something I don't buy into, but there are chemicals that you can buy that are supposed you could put them on a vegetable bed. And it's supposed to, it won't kill the vegetable, but it will kill the weeds.
Yeah. Okay. In my mind, you're starting to flirt with like insect spray that leaves some insects okay and not other insects. You're getting into real specific genetic stuff at that point, aren't you?
And they have sold those products for years. I've never used them. I really don't know anybody that has used them. But, the only reason why I bring that up is that would be tempting to somebody that says, I don't want to bend over for 2 hours and pull weeds.
Right. This won't kill my tomato plants. I'll just dump this on.
Yeah, and the weeds won't. I don't know. But everybody does it different. I care not to use. I don't use pesticides. I don't. If you don't use pesticides, you're going to lose some plants to the bugs, or you're going to lose some leaf. But the thing is, if it killed the bug, it's not any good for you.
Yeah, that was always my thinking. The plants that the bugs aren't eating, maybe they're giving me a heads up. It's like a wolf knowing not to eat diseased meat.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the exact same thing. If the plants aren't good for the bugs, let's find some plants that maybe they get eaten by a bug once in a while to show me that the rest of nature's on board with what I'm shoveling into my system.
Yeah, and I try to be I'm not a quote-unquote organic gardener, because a true organic gardener would not use like the 5, 10, and 10 fertilizer.
Right.
And another thing, when you set those pepper and tomato plants, all right, I love Miracle Grow.
Yeah.
You mix Miracle Grow, a tablespoon of Miracle Grow and a tablespoon of Epsom salts per gallon of water. When you plant that plant, soak it down with that, and then especially if you mulch it right away, that holds that nutrient there. Okay. Now, later on in the season, you can give it another dose of Miracle Grow if it needs a little bump. But if you've tilled in some 5, 10, and 10 or 10, 10, and 10 in the beginning, there's residual fertilizer in there. Miracle Grow is water soluble. So every time it rains, some of that's going to wash down into the underground.
It's going to get a little deeper.
Yeah.
I learned so much when you're here. Did I not ask you something that you wanted me to ask you? We've got about a minute left.
Well, we did asparagus real quick last. I wanted to do a recap on that.
Okay.
Buy the 3-year-old crowns or roots. Spend a couple extra bucks because you'll be able to harvest them sooner. You dig a trench 8 to 10 inches deep. put some fertilizer down in, put a little bit of dirt on top of the fertilizer, set your crowns about 12 inches apart, and just put a light coating of dirt over your asparagus root. And when it sprouts, it'll look like a fern. It's real pretty when it comes up.
Yes.
Okay, and it'll come up and slowly over the summer, fill that hole in. That way the plant can continue to grow, but it's not that little ferny thing's not trying to push up through a whole lot of dirt. And basically, you get it established, Eddie, your grandchildren can eat out of that asparagus bed.
Charlie Dirt, it's Garden Jargon on Teleforum.
I can hardly believe it was in 2015 that Mary danced back into my office. She opened my door and danced from the door to my front desk with this huge smile on her face. I'm Dr. Sean Ritchie. Since then, I've had the opportunity to help thousands of patients who suffer from numbness, burning, stabbing, pins and needles pain that they get from peripheral neuropathy, and we're getting them back to enjoying life again.
Hey, I'm Wes.
Hey, I'm Marla.
I'm Rich.
Hi, I'm Laurie.
I'm Paul.
My balance is so much better, and I'm walking again.
I'm sleeping better, and I'm walking better.
I'm sleeping and feeling my feet again.
And I'm walking again.
Hey, I'm Mary, and I'm still dancing.
Peripheral neuropathy can rob you of what you love to do, whether it be running, shopping, walking, driving, biking, or even dancing. I'm Dr. Sean Ritchie, and I've teamed up with Dr. Jared Evans to help you get your ing back. Go to marydanceden.com to find out how, or call our Beaver location at 724-940-9000. That's 724-940-9000.
When accidents and injuries happen, you need the experience and insight of the legal team at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George. Since 1934, they've been committed to the physical and financial recovery of personal injury victims. Why choose the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George? Attorney Larry Kelly explains.
First of all, we've been AV rated by Martindale-Hubbell. It's the highest rating you can get for legal ability and ethics, and that comes from our peers. We have board-certified civil trial specialist, which is like another bar exam. Would you go to a doctor who is not board-certified? Probably not. I've always said, and I tell my daughters, I have 3 daughters who are attorneys. Those in the profession know. The lawyers of LGKG have the respect of our peers, and that's all I ever cared about.
For your free initial consultation, call the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George at 724-658-8535 or online at lgkg.com. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, keeping promises for over 80 years.
Thank you to Derek and Mike. They were with me this morning. Beaver Falls Turners and the Humane Society. Thanks to Tom. Thanks to Charlie. Thanks to Jimmy. It was an insane day. Tomorrow's going to be about the same thing as far as busyness go. But I told you at the beginning of today's program, I said today was going to be one of those programs where you really didn't have to listen to me too much. Tomorrow's the same way. And I think deep down that makes us all winners. Don't you think that? Sure.
You're listening to 95.7 FM, 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. An armed man arrested near the Maryland home of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
A Supreme Court spokeswoman says the man who made threats against Kavanaugh was taken into custody just before 2 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Sources tell the Washington Post the man is from California and was upset by a leaked draft opinion suggesting the court is about to overrule the 1973 Roe v. Wade case that legalized abortion. He was also said to be upset over recent mass shootings.
White House correspondent Greg Cluxton. Also at townhall.com, police investigating a fire at a Western New York pro-life center as a case of arson. That fire, reported about 3 a.m. Tuesday, it left the building temporarily unusable. Someone had scrawled, "Jane was here," at the suburban Buffalo Medical Building. Primaries in 7 states on Tuesday, included California, where a high-profile district attorney was recalled.
San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin was ousted on Tuesday after 60% of voters chose to recall the progressive Democrat. Boudin was defiant in a speech to supporters, saying he had to shadowbox against no opponent in a heated campaign that divided Democrats over crime, policing, and public safety reform in the famously liberal city.
The right-wing billionaires outspent us 3-1. They exploited an environment in which people are appropriately upset.
Recall supporters, which included hotel and retail associations, said the city has not drifted right, but will support a progressive criminal justice reform with new leadership. Boudin's time in office coincided with the pandemic, attacks against Asian Americans, and smash and grab shoplifting incidents, footage of which went viral nationwide. I'm Jennifer King.
Turning out to be another volatile day on Wall Street. The Dow is down 56 points, but the Nasdaq ahead 23. More at townhall.com.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and start getting cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code SALEM for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. That's promo code SALEM. Remember, use promo code SALEM for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up.
A former Thai police chief has been sentenced to life in jail after being found guilty of murder by torture.
Public interest in the case of the provincial police chief known here as Joe Ferrari is likely to have helped persuade the authorities to take action against him. He was a fast-rising star in the police force, but also conspicuously wealthy. Thai customs officers believe he owned more than 40 luxury cars. Last year, someone in his police station leaked a security camera video showing him torturing a drug suspect by tying plastic bags over his head. The suspect later died.
BBC correspondent Jonathan Head reporting from Bangkok. A passenger train derailed in eastern Iran, killing at least 17 people, injuring 50 others. The report said 4 of the 7 cars of the train derailed in the early morning darkness near the desert city of Tabas. Breaking news at townhall.com. After 11 months and more than 1,000 interviews, the House committee investigating the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, ready now to share what it knows with the public. Correspondent Bernie Bennett explains how to watch.
It will do that in public hearings, some in prime time throughout the month. The first hearing will start Thursday, June 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern. The second will be held Monday, June 13th at 10 a.m. Eastern. The committee hasn't announced a formal schedule for the rest. It could be as many as 8 in total through June.